The hall of the Galactic Council was the largest chamber ever built in the known universe. Stars glowed through the transparent dome above, and thousands of alien species sat in rising rows of crystal benches. Their colors, shapes, and voices filled the air like a storm of sound. Some floated in bubbles of liquid, others sat on legs or coils, and some had no faces at all, only light. But all of them turned their attention toward the small stage in the center, where a single human stood. He was young by their standards, barely 30. His black uniform carried the crest of Earth, a planet many in the chamber considered weak and primitive. His voice was steady, but his eyes burned with a kind of fire the others did not understand. "Humanity sends this message to the Council," he said. "We will no longer be ignored. We will no longer be mocked. If war comes, we will fight. And if we fight, we will win." For a moment there was silence. Then, laughter. It rolled across the chamber like thunder. Alien voices hissed, croaked, buzzed, and roared with amusement. Some pounded the floor with their limbs, others shook with shimmering colors. To them, the idea was ridiculous. This tiny world, with its short-lived species, daring to threaten civilizations that had mastered the stars for 1,000 years. The laughter grew so strong that the translator drones almost cracked under the noise. "Win!" shouted one council member, a towering insectoid with diamond claws. "Your people still struggle to leave your own solar system. You are children playing with fire." The human did not move. He waited until the laughter slowed, and then he spoke again. His voice was quiet, but it carried across the chamber. "Children grow. And when they are cornered, children bite." The words silenced many of them, but soon the laughter returned. The vote was swift. Humanity's request for recognition, protection, and a seat in the council was denied. The young envoy was escorted out under the mocking voices of species older than history itself. But outside the chamber, he did not walk with shame. He carried with him a hidden message, one the council had not heard. He tapped his wrist device, sending a single coded signal across the stars, back to Earth. The message was short. They laughed. The people of Earth were not surprised. They had expected this. Humanity had always been the outsider, the underdog, the joke of stronger powers. But what the aliens did not understand was simple. Humanity had learned to survive by being underestimated. Far from the polished crystal halls of the Council, deep in the dark silence of space, human ships were already moving. They were not as large as alien war cruisers. They did not shine with gold or crystal. Instead, they were armored with dark steel, scarred and patched from battles long forgotten. They carried weapons the Council had never seen, weapons designed not from pride, but from desperation. On Earth itself, billions watched the envoy's speech replayed on every screen. They saw the laughter of the aliens, the mockery, the arrogance. And instead of despair, they felt anger. A shared fire spread across nations and colonies. Old rivalries were set aside. For the first time in human history, they stood united under one banner. In the shadows of underground bunkers, secret labs came alive. In the orbits of distant moons, hidden shipyards lit up. Humanity had prepared for this moment for years. Not with the elegance of alien science, but with something else, something more dangerous. Humanity's greatest strength was not technology. It was will. While the Council dismissed them, humans trained. While the Council laughed, humans built. And in the silence between stars, plans were already moving forward. The envoy returned to Earth weeks later. He was welcomed not as a failure, but as a spark. Leaders gathered around him, soldiers saluted, scientists presented their progress. He told them of the laughter, and the sound of it became fuel for their anger. "They do not believe we can fight," he said. "That is our advantage." Far across the galaxy, the Council continued to laugh. They had seen many young species rise and fall. They had seen bold words turn into ashes. To them, humanity was no different. But in the darkness, a storm was coming. Ships moved in silence, cloaked in shadows. Weapons were hidden on asteroids, buried under oceans, carried in secret by civilian freighters. No one saw them, because no one thought to look. The Council thought humanity was weak. The Council thought humanity was harmless. They would soon regret it. The Galactic Council had moved on. After denying Earth's request, they returned to their endless debates, trade routes, border disputes, resource rights. Humanity's warning was already fading in their memories, just another voice lost in the noise of 1,000 civilizations. But Earth did not forget. The night skies of the planet glowed with streaks of light as hidden launch bays opened. Rockets and transports climbed through the atmosphere, carrying cargo too secret for open records. In the deserts of Mars, in the tunnels of Luna, in stations orbiting Jupiter's moons, humans worked without pause. There was no grand announcement. No alien race was told of what humanity was building. Silence was the shield. The envoy, the same young man who had stood before the council, now walked the steel halls of a command bunker buried deep beneath Earth's crust. Screens lined the walls, showing shipyards, weapon factories, and training grounds. Generals, scientists, and leaders stood waiting as he entered. "They think we are nothing," one general said. His voice was hard, his eyes sharper. "Good. Let them laugh. Every hour they laugh is another hour we gain." The envoy nodded. The Council's mistake is simple. They think wars are won by size, by power. But wars are won by something else. He touched the table in front of him, and a hologram appeared, an alien warship, massive and shining, compared to a human vessel, small and dark. To anyone else, the alien ship looked invincible. But then, the hologram shifted, showing weak points, hidden lines, vulnerabilities. "They build monuments to their pride," the envoy said. "We build weapons to kill gods." Silence filled the room. Every man and woman understood the meaning. Far away, on the edge of known space, the first human fleet gathered. Dozens of ships drifted in the shadow of a dying star. They did not move in formation like alien fleets. Instead, they scattered, like hunters in the forest, each waiting for the signal. The ships carried crews who had trained in secret for years. Soldiers who had left their families without goodbye. Pilots who knew they might never return. Scientists who had fused human creativity with stolen alien technology. Every soul aboard those ships carried the same thought: humanity must not fail. Meanwhile, in the halls of the council, rumors began to spread. Traders whispered of strange human activity near the asteroid belts. Smugglers claimed to have seen dark ships with no markings. Some reports even spoke of missing patrols, alien scouts who had entered human space and never returned. The council dismissed the rumors. "Primitive," they said. "Humans do not have the power." The laughter continued. But one race did not laugh. The Valens, a reptilian species older than most, had once seen another young race rise. That race had been ignored, mocked, until it struck with fire so fierce that half the galaxy burned. The council had crushed them in the end, but only after millions of lives were lost. The Valen ambassador watched the reports of missing patrols with cold eyes. He remembered history. He remembered what arrogance could cost. But when he tried to warn the council, they silenced him. "Do not bring shadows into the light," one elder said. "The humans are insects. Let them buzz. They will die soon enough." Back on Earth, the envoy prepared for the first strike. He stood before the fleet commanders, his voice steady, his gaze hard. "They laughed at us. They believe we are weak. They believe we are afraid. They are wrong. Our first move will not be to defend. Our first move will be to strike. We will remind them that humanity is not prey." The plan was simple but dangerous. A council listening post floated near the borders of human space. It was small, lightly armed, and considered unimportant by the council. But it was also the eye that watched humanity's every move. If it was destroyed, humanity would gain silence, time, and fear. The fleet moved. Engines lit with a low hum, dark shapes cutting through the void. No signals were sent, no warnings given. The human ships slid like knives toward the listening post. Inside the post, alien officers sat bored, their screens half-watched, their voices lazy. None of them expected what was coming. The first shot came from the shadows, a missile that did not glow, did not scream, only moved with silent death. It struck the post's shield, tearing it apart before alarms could sound. Then, the humans came. Dark steel against shining crystal. Small ships against a fortress. But the fortress fell. In less than 3 minutes, the listening post was gone, its last signal lost in static. The council did not hear of it immediately. By the time they did, it was too late. The humans had already vanished back into the dark. And across Earth, billions cheered. The laughter of the council was still echoing, but now humanity had given its first answer. It was only the beginning. The destruction of the listening post spread through the council like fire in dry grass. At first, they did not believe it. A station armed with advanced shields, guarded by alien weapons, gone in only minutes? Impossible. But when the wreckage was found drifting in silence, when no crew could be rescued, the laughter that once filled the halls began to fade. Meetings were called. Generals and admirals spoke in booming voices, their wings, claws, and tendrils striking the floor in anger. The humans had attacked without warning. No declaration, no demand, only sudden violence. "They are savages," one counselor hissed. "This is proof. They must be crushed before they spread further." Others agreed. Armies were prepared. War fleets were ordered to move. Yet, there was still arrogance. Even in anger, many believed this was only luck, only a single act of desperation. "They cannot face us in open battle," another counselor said. "Their ships are too small. Their weapons too weak. They will hide, but we will find them." But the Valen ambassador, old and scarred, spoke quietly from his seat. His voice did not roar. It whispered, "You do not understand them. They are not playing by our rules. If you chase them, you will bleed." Few listened. The council voted for war. Meanwhile, in the dark silence of space, humanity moved again. Fleets did not gather in one place, they scattered. Some hid in asteroid fields, others drifted near dying stars, some even shadowed alien trade routes. No patterns. No signals. To the council's sensors, they were ghosts. On Earth, factories roared without rest. Young men and women lined up for service. Not all were soldiers. Many were engineers, pilots, medics. Every hand was needed. The laughter of the council had become a fire in their blood. The envoy, the man who had stood alone in the chamber of mockery, now stood before thousands of new recruits. His voice carried through the training fields. "They think we are weak," he said. "They think we will break. They think they can erase us. But humanity has survived every storm, every empire, every tyrant. We will not be erased. We will carve our place into the stars with our blood, if we must." The recruits roared in answer. The first real clash came soon after. A council fleet of 12 warships moved toward the edge of human space. Their mission was simple: find the humans, crush them, and make an example. Their ships were enormous, shining with energy shields and weapons that could melt moons. They entered an empty region of space, a place with only rocks and dust. Their scanners showed nothing alive, nothing moving. Confidence filled their crews. But the humans were waiting. Hidden on the surfaces of asteroids, concealed in craters, human ships lay silent. Their hulls were painted black, their signals masked. They waited until the council fleet moved deep into the field. Then, the trap closed. Explosives buried in the rocks ignited, tearing through shields. Missiles shot from hidden launchers. Human ships burst from the shadows, firing weapons the council had never seen. Kinetic slugs that punched through armor like paper, plasmanets that burned systems from the inside. The council fleet fought back, their weapons burning holes in space itself. But their size betrayed them. They were heavy, slow, built for pride, not survival. The humans struck fast, then vanished, then struck again. In less than an hour, half the council fleet was gone. The rest limped away, broken and silent. When news reached the council chamber, silence fell. No one laughed this time. The names of the lost ships echoed through the air like a curse. The families of dead officers wailed. The generals who had promised easy victory lowered their eyes. The Valen ambassador rose slowly, his voice colder than stone. I warned you. You thought them insects. But insects can swarm. Insects can bite. And if you do not act with wisdom, insects can kill giants. Still, many could not accept the truth. They spoke of accidents, tricks, cowardice. Humans will not fight face to face, they said. They will run. We will catch them. But fear had already begun. Whispers spread in markets, in ports, in the dark alleys of alien worlds. Traders spoke of human ships that came and vanished like shadows. Miners told stories of patrols that never returned. Smugglers swore that even saying the word Earth brought bad luck. And in the council itself, one truth began to grow, unspoken but heavy. Humanity was no longer a joke. On Earth, the envoy looked at the stars, his eyes hard. He knew the council was angry. He knew war was only beginning. But anger was not enough to save them. Humanity needed more. We have made them bleed, he said to his commanders. Now they will come with everything. And we must be ready. The storm was only starting. The halls of the Galactic Council shook with rage. The loss of their fleet could no longer be ignored. 12 warships had been destroyed by humans, a race they had called weak. Pride had been wounded, and pride was dangerous. In a chamber of crystal and light, thousands of voices rose in fury. Some demanded revenge, others demanded extermination. Screens glowed with images of the wreckage, broken ships drifting in silence. For many, it was unthinkable. Vessels built by civilizations thousands of years old, torn apart by a race barely out of its cradle. The council voted again. This time, the decision was clear. No half measures. No small patrols. Humanity would be crushed with the full weight of the council's might. A grand fleet was called. From across the galaxy, ships began to move. War cruisers from the insectoid Kryn. Plasma carriers from the Cyril. Bioships grown by the Arith. Even the proud Valens, though doubtful, sent forces. It was the largest fleet assembled in centuries. Tens of thousands of ships, each armed with weapons that could erase worlds. They named it the Cleansing Fleet. Meanwhile, Earth watched and listened. Human spies, smugglers, and stolen codes brought news of the gathering storm. The envoy stood in the war room, surrounded by screens showing alien fleets moving like rivers of fire across the stars. They are coming with everything, said one admiral. His face was pale, his voice grim. The envoy did not flinch. Good, he said. Let them come. Some in the room looked at him with disbelief. How could humanity stand against so many? But the envoy had a plan, one kept secret even from many of his own commanders. Hidden deep beneath the oceans of Earth, in chambers carved from stone, humanity had built something the council did not know existed. A weapon born not of elegance, but of desperation. It was not one ship. It was not one missile. It was many. Thousands. Small, simple, deadly. Machines designed to swarm, to strike from every angle, to overwhelm even the strongest shields. They called them wraiths. The wraiths were not beautiful. They were jagged, black machines with no pilots, only simple minds that obeyed. They carried explosives, kinetic slugs, plasma charges. Each one was nothing alone. But together, they were a storm. They will expect fleets, the envoy said. They will expect lines of battle. We will not give them that. We will give them the swarm. Training for humans did not stop. Soldiers drilled in zero gravity. Pilots learned to fly through asteroid fields with their eyes closed. Engineers worked until their hands bled. Every city, every colony, every station gave something: metal, fuel, People. The laughter of the council was gone now, but humanity still remembered it. That memory was fire. When the cleansing fleet finally moved, its size was like a wall of stars. Scouts reported that its formation stretched across light hours, a wave of destruction moving toward Earth. Alien commanders spoke with arrogance once again. "We will end them in one strike," they said. But the Valen ambassador, watching silently from his ship, whispered to himself, "You still do not understand." The first contact came at the edge of the Sol system. Council ships entered cautiously, their weapons glowing, their shields raised. They expected resistance, but what they found was nothing. Empty space. No fleets. No defenses. Only silence. Confusion spread through their ranks. Had the humans fled? Had they hidden on their homeworld like cowards? Then, the swarm arrived. The wraiths came from every direction, thousands of dark machines bursting from asteroid belts, from the shadows of moons, from hidden carriers. They moved fast, too fast for heavy alien turrets. They slammed into shields, drilling through with endless waves. They did not care for survival. Each one was a blade of sacrifice. Alien warships fired, tearing dozens, hundreds apart. But for every wraith destroyed, more came. They latched onto hulls, buried into engines, exploded inside weapon bays. The fleet that had believed itself untouchable began to burn. Admirals shouted orders. Commanders roared in panic. The cleansing fleet, built to crush one small race, was bleeding under the storm of machines. In the war room on Earth, commanders watched the battle unfold through stolen feeds. The room shook with the voices of cheering officers. For the first time, humanity stood not only in defiance, but in dominance. But the envoy did not cheer. He knew this was only the beginning. The council still had more fleets, more weapons, more worlds. Humanity had struck hard, but the war was far from over. He looked at the stars, his jaw tight. "They thought laughter would break us," he said quietly. "Now they will learn fear." The storm was rising. The cleansing fleet was not destroyed, but it was wounded. Dozens of ships lay in ruins, drifting in silence. Thousands of alien soldiers were dead. The council had expected a swift victory. Instead, they had found terror. But the council was old, and old powers learned to adapt. In the ruins of their broken fleet, alien engineers studied the wreckage of human wraiths. They tore apart the jagged machines, scanning their crude designs, testing their simple minds. To many, it was shocking. The wraiths were not advanced. They were not elegant. They were ugly, brutal machines, yet they worked. "This is not genius," one Cyril scientist hissed, her body glowing with anger. "This is madness. They throw away machines like stones in a storm." Madness or not, the wraiths had done what no fleet had before. They had made the council bleed. New weapons were ordered. Countermeasures were built. Special drones were released, designed to slice wraiths apart before they could reach the hull. Shields were modified to bend the swarms away. The council was adapting quickly. And as their new fleets gathered again, their anger grew sharper. "They hide behind machines," one counselor roared. "They are cowards. We will crush their world itself. No more games." The decision was made. The council's next move was not to fight humanity in open space. This time, they would burn Earth. On Earth, spies brought the news. The war room fell into silence. Generals clenched their fists. Scientists stared at the floor. Billions of lives were now at risk. "They will come with everything," one commander said. "If they reach the planet, we cannot stop them. Even with the swarm." The envoy's face was hard, but his voice remained calm. "Then they cannot reach the planet." His words carried weight. Plans that had been whispered in shadows, kept secret even from most of humanity, were finally brought into the light. Humanity's darkest weapon was not the swarm. It was something older. Something forbidden even by their own laws. Buried deep in hidden bunkers were warheads unlike any seen before. Not simple explosives. Not plasma. These were weapons built to shatter stars themselves. To end entire systems. Humanity had built them in silence, not because they wanted to, but because they knew one day they might need them. The envoy stood before the weapons. Cold metal. Silent death. He hated them. Every human in the room hated them. But hate did not matter anymore. Survival did. They will come for our home, he said. We will answer with fire they cannot imagine. Still, doubts filled the room. Could they risk it? If unleashed, such weapons could turn allies into enemies, could make humanity as hated as it was feared. But there was no choice. While preparations continued, humanity also changed its tactics. No longer just hunters in the dark, human fleets began to strike boldly. They attacked supply lines, destroyed council fuel depots, hijacked cargo ships. Every victory was small compared to the size of the council, but every cut weakened the giant. Across the galaxy, fear grew. In markets and ports, aliens spoke in whispers. Stories spread of human ships appearing without warning, striking like ghosts, vanishing without trace. Children on distant worlds began to play games where they pretended to be humans, hunters in the dark. The council could not allow this. Their pride demanded blood. The second Grand Fleet was launched. Larger than the first. Stronger. Built with new weapons to burn swarms from the sky. Their course was direct, Earth. When their fleets entered the outer rim of the solar system, Earth trembled. Sirens wailed. Families fled into bunkers. Soldiers gripped their weapons. Above all, every screen, every broadcast showed the envoy, his voice calm but sharp as steel. They are coming. They think they will erase us. But we are not dust to be blown away. We are the storm that rises. And if they want our home, they will pay for every stone, every drop of water, every breath of air. They will pay in fire. The second battle was about to begin. And this time, humanity would not just defend. Humanity would unleash the fire they had kept hidden for generations. The sky above Earth was no longer peaceful. Every telescope, every satellite, every station saw it, the arrival of the Second Grand Fleet. It came like a wall of light. Thousands of alien ships glowing with energy shields, weapons humming with power. They filled the void between stars, their formation like a blade aimed at one small blue planet. Across Earth, billions watched in silence. Some prayed. Some cursed. Some held their children close. All of them knew this was the day everything would be decided. The envoy stood in the command bunker, his face lit by screens showing the enemy advance. Around him, generals and admirals waited, their voices tight with tension. They are stronger now, one whispered. They have learned from the swarm. They think they are ready, the envoy said, his eyes cold. They are wrong. Above Earth, humanity's fleets gathered. Ships scarred from earlier battles, ships newly built, even ships never meant for war but armed in desperation. They looked small compared to the alien giants, like wolves facing a wall of fire. But they did not retreat. Then, the battle began. The Council fleet unleashed its fury. Beams of light tore through the dark, massive cannons roared, missiles screamed across the void. Human ships exploded, burning against the black. Families on Earth wept as names of the fallen filled the screens. But humanity struck back. The swarm was unleashed once again, thousands of wraiths streaking from hidden carriers. They moved fast, breaking through gaps, smashing against shields, exploding against alien hulls. For a moment, the sky lit with fire and metal. But this time, the Council was ready. Their new defenses cut through the swarm, slicing hundreds apart before they could strike. Wraiths died in waves, their sacrifice slowing the alien advance but not stopping it. The envoy watched, his jaw clenched. They adapt, he whispered. So must we. Human ships fought with desperation, darting between giants, striking weak points, then vanishing before counterfire. Alien commanders cursed in rage as their fleets bled, but still they pushed forward, closer to Earth. And then, the first bombardment began. From orbit, alien weapons fired toward the planet's surface. Shields hidden in Earth's orbit lit up, blocking the first strikes. Explosions ripped across the upper atmosphere, shaking the skies. Cities trembled. Oceans roared. The planet itself groaned under the weight of war. "We cannot hold them," one general cried. "They will burn us alive." The envoy's voice cut through the panic. "Not yet. Wait." Minutes felt like hours. Ships fell. The swarm broke. The aliens closed in. And then, when the enemy was close enough, the envoy gave the command. "Release it." Deep beneath the oceans, hidden bunkers opened. From them rose the forbidden weapons, the warheads humanity had sworn never to use. They were not beautiful. They were not advanced. But they carried death beyond imagining. The warheads launched into the sky, slow at first, then faster, climbing past the clouds, past the stratosphere, into the void where the alien fleets waited. At first, the Council laughed. They had seen missiles before. They had seen primitive weapons fired in desperation. They did not understand what these were. Not until the first one detonated. The explosion did not just burn. It tore space itself. A starbright flare ripped through shields, through armor, through entire ships. Dozens vanished in one instant, erased without a trace. The laughter ended. The second warhead struck. Then the third. Each one detonated with the power of gods, shattering fleets that had ruled the galaxy for centuries. Alien commanders screamed in terror. Soldiers fled their stations. The cleansing fleet began to break. But the cost was terrible. The explosions shook Earth itself, waves crashing across coasts, skies blackening with ash. Humanity had saved itself, but at the price of wounding its own world. In the command bunker, silence filled the air. Generals stared at the screens, their faces pale. The envoy stood still, his eyes burning. "We warned them," he said softly. "They did not listen. Now they will remember." Across the galaxy, the news spread. The Council had come with fire. Humanity had answered with something worse. Fear had taken root. And fear would not be forgotten. The galaxy trembled. The Second Grand Fleet, the pride of the Council, had been shattered above Earth. Wreckage drifted in silence, glowing embers of broken ships lighting the black sky. The planet had survived, but the price was heavy. Oceans boiled in places, cities cracked from tremors, skies dark with smoke. Still, Earth stood. The Council was in chaos. In their crystal chamber, thousands of voices roared with fear and fury. Some screamed for total extermination. Erase them before they grow stronger. Others whispered of surrender, their voices trembling. If we push further, they will burn us all. The Valen ambassador stood in silence until the chamber quieted. His old eyes were cold. You mocked them. You denied them. You tried to crush them. And now you fear them. The humans have shown what you all forgot, that the weak, when cornered, can strike harder than the strong. The words stung, but none could deny them. Humanity had crossed a line. No young race had ever dared to unleash such weapons. No young race had ever forced the Council to bleed so deeply. Meanwhile, on Earth, the envoy walked among the ruins of a city struck by the bombardment. Buildings lay broken, smoke rose from the streets, families searched for lost loved ones. Soldiers saluted him, but his face carried no pride. He had defended his world. He had made the galaxy fear his people. But he had also unleashed weapons that scarred his own planet. The victory tasted of ash. Still, when he stood before the cameras, his voice was steady. Billions watched, not only on Earth, but across countless alien worlds where the broadcast spread in secret. "We are not your slaves," he said. "We are not your prey. We are humanity. You laughed at us. Now you know our strength. If you come again to erase us, we will answer with fire that will darken the stars themselves. But if you come with respect, if you come with peace, then we will meet you as equals." The choice is yours. The words spread faster than light. Traders carried them. Smugglers repeated them. Even alien children whispered them. And for the first time, many in the galaxy began to believe that Earth was not a joke, not a shadow, but a rising power. The council gathered once more to vote. War or peace? Extermination or recognition? The hall was filled with silence so heavy that even the translator drones hummed softly, as if afraid to speak. Species that had ruled for thousands of years now hesitated. If they continued the war, humanity would unleash their forbidden fire again. Maybe Earth would fall, but the cost would be unbearable. Whole fleets, whole worlds, could be lost. And if humanity survived even that, the galaxy would face an enemy born of fire and vengeance. If they chose peace, it would mean swallowing pride. It would mean admitting that the council had been wrong. Many could not bear the thought, but many also could not bear the fear. The vote began. One by one, voices rang out. War, peace, extermination, recognition. The count shifted like a storm, each voice pushing the balance. At last, the final numbers glowed on the chamber walls. Humanity was accepted into the council. The decision was not born of kindness. It was not born of respect. It was born of fear. But it was enough. When the envoy returned to the chamber, walking once more to the same platform where laughter had once thundered, no one laughed. Thousands of alien eyes turned toward him, silent. Some with anger. Some with hate. Some with something new, respect. He stood tall, his voice calm. You thought humanity would bow. We did not. You thought humanity would die. We did not. We are here. And we will not leave. The chamber did not cheer, but it also did not mock. Silence was victory enough. Back on Earth, people rebuilt. Factories turned from war to recovery. Children played under skies still dark with smoke, but alive. Soldiers returned home, scarred but standing. Humanity had won not just survival, but a place among the stars. And though the galaxy still whispered in fear of the fire humanity had unleashed, a deeper truth was clear. Humans would fight, humans would endure, and humans would never again be ignored. The envoy stood on a hill overlooking the ruins of his city, the wind carrying the voices of those rebuilding. He looked up at the stars, endless and cold, and whispered to himself. They laughed. But now, they remember. And the galaxy would never forget.